Good evening, my colleagues, and good evening to the people of Guam. The Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, Housing Committee is back from recess from yesterday, and we will begin with page 62. And I don't see any amendments on page 62, which is the Guam Police Department. All right. Slowly moving to page 63. Senator Shelton, are you on the phone or you're trying to talk? Senator Shelton, she must be on the phone. Okay.
I think she's on the phone, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We will now move to page 64, which is Department of Correction. I'm just looking for a wave of hand, okay, folks? There's Senator Therese on page 64, Department of Correction, ma'am. And then Senator Tello. Senator Therese?
Yes, I have an amendment for this. Do you see it uploaded?
You have an amendment for page 64?
Yeah.
Joe, you got that amendment? Joe?
Stand by, sir. We're just verifying. We've worked on printing all the amendments we received so far. We may have overlooked it, not sure.
You can go ahead without me. Yeah, I can go next. Yeah.
Okay, Senator Tello, are we still on page 64, Department of Correction, ma'am?
Yes, we are, Mr. Chair. And I just have a question because in this amount is about $2,637,560 more than FY 2020 budget. So I just wanted to know this increase. DOC,
okay, we'll get Steve. Steve, could you explain that, please? DOC is 2 million plus.
Are we on DOE or GPD?
No, we're at DOC, page 64, Steve.
I got it right
Okay.
here.
2 million plus is what Senator Tello's identifying that, and I guess she's curious to know why was it up? Probably the guards and everything else. Hopefully it's to pay off their bill with GMH. Or whatever they need.
Yeah, the appropriation for DOC, what we did is we looked at their current appropriation level, about 27. I'm sorry, it's about 28 million.
About 28 million. I'm looking at it right now. Total summary of appropriation funding sources, 26,951.
No, the total appropriation for DC, sir, all programs is for 2020. It's 24.9 million. What we gave them is 27.5. It is a 2.6 million increase simply because of the costs of personnel, operations, and overtime.
Okay, it's the increase of folks. Is that what you're saying? The number of recruitment they've got going and plus the overtime. Steve?
Yes, and
Okay.
if you look at the BBMR's number is coming in at 28 million. We're still lower by them by $500,000. We budgeted at 27.5.
Okay, Senator Tello, any other questions you want to ask of them?
No, so it looks like they had additional hires and I guess an recruitment that came through. And it's okay. So we're just talking about the increase was due to warm bodies. Is that what it is? Just new recruitment? And if that's the case, then that's fine. I mean, but they were one of the agencies that did get a huge increase compared to 2020. Okay.
Okay, Madam Speaker, Vice Speaker, you wanted to speak? Senator Nelson, Madam Vice?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve, are you coming up with 27.5 because of the federal matching grant?
No, Senator Nelson, it's general fund plus special funds.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
The general fund is 26.5. The special fund is 971,000.
And what if they need to, not if, but they need to hire more correction officers because of attrition and also, you know, the fatigue, like battle fatigue. And also, do you see that they're spending a lot of money on overtime? Do we have an opportunity to, or will there be an opportunity to fund them for additional personnel in this upcoming fiscal year?
There might be room enough of this 28 million that we're giving them. I mean, the 24, no, this 28 million that we're giving them. Again, like I said, you know, we try to cover as much as we can in the fixed costs and allow them a little bit more for operations. So there might be a chance they might be able to fund more positions. But bear in mind, you know, when we prepared the budget, we didn't budget for any vacancies.
Mm. But you still were able to fund the programs that they have there.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. That reduces recidivism. So I think that that's a good investment to make on them to help them to, okay.
All right, Madam Vice and the colleagues, I know that Steve was watching out for, when some of the agency we were talking to, they said that there's possible some of them may retire in late August, September, and we said as long as they're a warm body, and some of them are higher ranking, we still, Steve made every effort to try to make sure there was funding for that position. So when they retire, for example, if it was a captain at DOC and they need to hire a correction officer one, that would almost match one captain's pay for two officers. So the funding is still there. It's just a matter of, it's just a management call on how they would adjust it and meet their requirements. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one more question. Early on in the year, we were discussing, you know, that they had enough funding also at that current status to be able to do their promotions, because many of them haven't had any type of promotion schema for the past 10 to 15 years. So I just wanted to ask, was that implemented? Because when we were having discussions early on in the year, they said that they had enough money to get it done and they didn't need the legislature to appropriate any additional money to them. So I just want to know if there was movement on that end for their promotion.
Steve, do you know of any of that movement? Or they might have did promotions and that's why their allocation was a lot higher.
Maybe the oversight chair?
Again, Senator, to address your question, the only way I can address it is that at the time we put this budget together, we try to reach out to the departments. We've been asking Bureau of Budget for information all the way to the time we put the budget together. And whatever information we get, we were able to receive, especially in personnel. We tried to do our best to cover all those warm bodies. There was a deadline. And if it met the deadline, fine. If it didn't, then there's other avenues how we can address them.
And do we have I'm sorry, was there an amendment for continuing use of funds?
Let me check if there is that provision for DOC. Okay. But I would also say that even towards the end, DOC was one of those departments that did provide us an update on their staffing. So whatever they had as of the date we took when we put this bill together, we did incorporate those. But I will tell you, since the development of this budget, I know personally there have been transfers. I know there have been things that have been changed. for one reason or another. And those may not have been captured in the ceilings and the levels that we presented here. But I will also say that we've given in the bill provisions to at least try to address those. One is the governor's transfer from 15 to 30%. So I'm hoping that with that provision, it would allow to at least cover these potential shortfalls. And I can honestly say I don't think it's going to be huge shortfalls for departments like in personnel. You might have 1 or 2, 3 people that got caught during the deadline. But I'm sure it's manageable to handle. And that's from my own experience.
Okay, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. We do have Senator Therese. I'm looking for you. Senator Therese, you do have your amendment. I see it now on our Zoom. If you could please read it, and then we can go through it.
Sure. If I could just make one note to Steve, though, on my page 64, line 12 doesn't match with line 8, and I'm not sure if it's supposed to. If Steve could just double check that. Oh, I guess with this, yeah. And okay, so for my amendment, this is as a result of the stipulated judgment in the district court case of U.S. versus Government of Guam. DOC and GMH entered into a consolidated cooperative agreement in 2015 for the provision of healthcare services to the Department of Corrections. Classified employees from GMH, such as registered nurses, LPNs, certified nurse assistants, ward clerks, medical records personnel, pharmacists, and pharmacy technicians are performing medical duties at DOC Clinic in conformity with their efforts to assure full compliance with the stipulated judgment. And the DOC Clinic is housed in 2 locations under the control of DOC, the Manilao and the Hagåtña facilities. And as we know that, so they were supposed to be making payments on this, and there came a time where they were not making payments. So GMH was owed arrears up to $3 million, and it looks like they're going to have to write that off. So in fiscal year 2020, they were getting their payments much better. But I just want to assure that part of this sum is allocated for the payment under that agreement. So that's what the amendment's going to do. It proposes a $2,896,956. And this was also requested in the governor's budget and in, so I'm gonna offer this floor amendment that says the sum is a new section and 4 to chapter 5 of the bill to read the sum of $2,896,956 shall be allocated from the appropriation from the general fund in subsection N1 of this chapter to DOC to pay the Guam Memorial Hospital per the memorandum of understanding between DOC and GMHA for providing health services to inmates. So it's just an allocation from the appropriation up above.
All right, it's just to make sure, right, that the money gets
Right.
to GMH.
That's the intent.
I don't
Yeah.
blame you. Senator Pidu, you're the oversight chair for DOC, am I correct, sir?
Well, Joe, if they owe the hospital money and they have some money that they can spare for the hospital, then I guess it's okay.
Okay.
I'm just afraid
I
that
don't-
if you take away that amount of money, they might not be able to satisfy their operation.
Right. No, I agree with you, but I think Senator Tello, you mentioned that there was like a $2 million increase, and Steve, you identified that it was for operations, so
Yeah, 2 million
it's safe
points.
to assume that, yeah.
Yeah,
It's almost like,
2.6.
yeah, it's almost the same amount, Mr. Chair, that I think that's why it was incorporated. So, yes. So,
Right.
so they did receive that increase in their budget this year.
All right, Steve, can you comment on that one for assurance for the oversight chair, Senator Pidu? So we don't want to
What
run
I
them.
would say, what I would say, Senator, right now is that in this year, It is my understanding that the agreement with DOC and GMH to fund that agreement was supposed to be compact impact money.
Oh,
So in this year, since there was no mention of the compact impact funding being available for 2021, we went ahead and incorporated that about 2.1 million into their, or 2.4 million into their ceiling, thus seeing an increase of 2.6 million.
Joe, can I say something also regarding
yeah,
the,
yes,
you know,
yes,
the
please.
$2 million is to for the additional 50 officers.
Steve, if you can comment to that, because the increase was, I think the 2 million might have been already incorporated, that the additional 2 million that Steve is mentioning, Joe, was in reference to what the compact impact is not identified to help them out for their, as the agreement was for GMA. So, Steve, maybe you can explain that a little bit about the 15 people that they needed.
Okay, again, Mr. Chairman, we did our best to try to fund whatever positions we could fund. If you notice, DOC has a $2.6 million increase over last year's budget. I'm talking about 2020. I would hope that that increase would cover whatever cost is needed, such as the positions, such as the agreement with GMH and other, I would hope, requirements of the department. So, you know, if I was to consider every single need of the department, their requirements must be $3-4 million, which I don't have. We didn't have to allocate. So it's one of those situations now that, you know, I mean, we did our best in the allocation, but like all the others, you know, we can only cover so much.
Okay, Senator Pito, would you like to comment to that?
So Steve, part of that $2 million is for the additional officers that they anticipate to hire.
Yes, Senator Pito, you're correct. But please bear in mind, we made the decision that if it was vacant positions, we weren't going to fund them, simply because of the criticalness and the drastic cuts we made in both the general fund and special fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned to make sure that GMH does get paid in some form or another. And I don't know how we're going to work that. If they don't get the compact impact, that's the agreement was supposed to be under the MOU. Gosh, they shortchanged GMH, and GMH can't afford any more shortchange than the budget cut they got already. I can see that, and I like to see still the Department of Correction allowed to pick up more folks because they need them, or else they burn them out. Just exactly what I think the Vice Speaker mentioned and Senator Tello, is that you got to watch out for the employees there, or else. So, any other comments from? I know I saw a hand come up earlier, and then I got washed out.
That was
Kitty,
me, but
okay.
You asked,
Okay, yes,
you asked
yes.
Steve exactly what I was going to ask, so I'm good.
You're good now. Okay, so based on the amendment by Senator Therese, I'm waiting for. Can we get? I think we need to move on that amendment. So, anyone would like to also discuss that amendment that's proffered by?
If you can allow me, Joe,
Yes.
you know, there's like 38 officers that are being under training right now. So for as much as I want to really support the hospital's request on additional funding, we have to consider those 38 that are incumbent already, that are undergoing training.
No, Pito, if there's 38, then those are not vacancies. Those are warm body that Steve's mentioned that they made every effort to fund. Am I correct, Steve? Senator Peter was saying there's 38 folks that are recruit, and in recruitment, those are considered warm bodies already in the system. Am I correct?
If the training, sir, was already happening at the time we did the budget, yes, I can verify to make sure that they were. If the training started after our cutoff date, then again, we're just gonna have to go back.
No, it was before. It was before August, Steve. I know that. I remember hearing that from folks.
If it's before August, Mr. Chairman, it is covered.
All right, Peter.
Okay, Joe.
So the 38 are good to go. Okay, as far as we can see it, and if we see it after this budget passed, then we can get the call and see how we can help them out.
Okay, I'm good.
So, all right. So going back to Senator Therese Terlai's amendment, is that a hand or just fixing the computer? Anyone else would like to speak to that? Senator Torres, please.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So Senator Terlahi, we are putting this in to guarantee that GMH is paid because they have not been paid in the past. Is that the concern here?
Just to ensure that, yes, because they testified in that they are being paid now, right now, during 20, yes, but in prior years they hadn't. And remember so GMH also ran up its own bill with rev and tax because saying they didn't get paid by DOC, they couldn't pay their withholding tax. It was a mess. So this is just to keep the payments coming to GMH that are due. Yeah.
But this will also guarantee then that they paid what is owed, and then they also in turn get the services guaranteed so that we don't have an issue with being non-compliant by federal regulations, right?
Absolutely, yes. So that we comply with the consent decree. Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, are we good for that now? Senator Kelly, before I get to the speaker, I know you kept waving.
Yeah, so I'm just curious what a typical annual cost that DOC runs up with GMH, just to give me some context. Is an amount like that typical in a year for the cost of servicing the inmates?
I think so, yes, because we got this from GMH, this number, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they were saying that that's a typical annual amount. I asked because it was very close to the 3 million, so I wasn't sure if it was more related to that or an actual estimate of costs. And so what would happen if DOC used, I don't know, 2.5 million in costs? I mean, they had 2.5 million in medical bills. Would the 300,000 go towards the debt relief?
I would hope so, but I'm not sure. I can tell you, I'm not sure if they would use less than this amount either. I'm not sure. But yeah, the debt relief, Lillian testified that they were like looking to write that off. They've been instructed by DOA, I think, to write it off, that they're not going to be able to collect it. So I'm not sure. But ideally, yes, that they would be able to collect that past due amount.
Is there some hopefully simple way to address that? If it's an overpayment, that balance maybe is there for them, it's carried over for next year. Let's say they have that $300,000 worth of services that it's either applied to the debt, even though there's that understanding it was written off, or it applies to the services for the next year?
The amendment is to move forward, Senator Kelly. So unless you're making an amendment, but this is all moving forward. So all right.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I guess if it's
make it more accurate.
If they treat it as relatively restricted, then I think it's going to do exactly what you say. That if they're not able to use it for anything else, then it's going to stay in that account, just like what we talked about last night about the what were the aides, Senator Shelton? The
Job coaches.
job
Oh, the
coaches.
job coaches, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it has that potential to sit there and then at the next budget, it can be talked about whether it lapses or whether it
That's
does
correct.
not. Okay, so it was a simple answer, Mr. Chair. I'm glad I got it.
No
Ms.
problem.
Mossy.
All right.
Thank you.
No, that was a good one. That was a good one. We want to make sure they continue to pay the bill. Madam Speaker, I saw you wave right after Senator Kelly. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, Mr. Chair, I do apologize. I was on the call with the Senate President from Saipan asking how everything in Guam is. And I just had to take that call and I apologize, but I just want to
No
make
problem.
sure that I'm right because we're talking about GPD and the employees and I know that the
No, we're
executive,
talking about DOC.
I mean
ma'am.
DOC.
DOC. Right.
Okay. I maybe the question I need to ask is there any,
Not unless you're referring to in page 64 and 65, they talk about the cost sharing with GPD and the Attorney General and the Administrative
yeah.
Courts.
Well, maybe just to get that straight, because I was trying to multitask here, and I just wanted to make sure that the resources for the recruits that are picked up, whether it be GPD and all that, and I know that we had resources last year for the recruits, and I just wanted to make sure that if we're going to move any money around, that there's money for these guys, because we did pick up. In March, I know we hired some officers, and then I know that we have recruits that should be completing training now. So wherever that needs to be,
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that I don't. I just
They're
want to make sure
funded.
that we don't touch the funding that is needed for them.
No, from we got from Steve is that anybody before August and exactly what you're saying, March and before August, they did recruitment and they're still in the phase. They're listed as a warm body, and they were funded as far as we can see. Not unless they move around now out of DOC, then that's beyond us. But those positions were funded based up to August 8th, and they're covered. So and that's why Senator Peter was more comfortable because he was talking about the 38 recruits. And then that's why we identified Senator Therese came up with the amount of the 2.8, almost 2, was it 2.8? I think if I'm right, I gotta look at it one more time, but it was 2.896956, which is normally what they have to pay and is estimated they need to pay for 2021. So as far as the recruits, ma'am, Madam Speaker, they were covered. They're warm body. It was before August 8th. The training cycle, yes.
Mr. Chair, what I'll do is I'll just look back at my notes and just make a confirmation. And I know there may be an amendment, but I just wanted to make sure that
No
I
problem.
got my information straight. And if I get a clarification, I'll just bring it up again, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I apologize. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
I know, I saw another hand. Is there another hand here for the amendment by Senator Therese? I don't see any hand. Are there any objection? I know Senator Pito had a cause of concern, and I think that was addressed. Was that taken care of, Senator Pito, in reference to your recruits, the 38 warm bodies?
Well, Joe, I'm not sure if they're covered. The warm bodies are covered because I think this happened back in March.
Yes. Anything before December 8th, I mean August 8th is what we were looking at. August 8th was
So
the
they're okay. If it's back in August, then we're okay.
yeah, that we're only talking what 2 weeks ago. That was when the cutoff, August 8th. It's now
Okay.
it's August 27th right now. So
Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. So are we okay, folks? Do we have any I need to see a hand wave, okay? If there's an objection, a hand wave, then we'll go to vote. If there's no hand of objection, we're gonna go ahead and consider it approved. All right? Any objection, any wave? No waiving. Senator Therese, your amendment to the sum of 2,896,956 shall be allocated from the general fund of DOCs. All right, and I can read it further. Joe, you got the verbiage right, so we know that we're all consistent with it. That's good.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have the amendment before us.
All right, and there's no objection, so the amendment passes. All right, folks. Okay, I don't see any hands shaking. Okay, we're Senator Lee. Yes, ma'am. Or you want a roll call?
I'm so sorry, Mr. Chair. Just according to our SOPs, we have to do a roll call for each amendment. I apologize.
I apologize. Okay, Joe, do a roll call real quick, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. On the amendment by Senator Terlahi for page 6, I'm sorry, line 6, page 65. Chairman Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rajel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rajel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Hungan.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Therese Terlahi.
Again.
Senator Therese Terlahi, aye. Senator Pito Terlahi.
Again.
Senator Pito Terlahi, aye. Senator Marsh Taitano.
Again.
Senator Marsh Taitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Aye.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitano.
Again.
Senator Taitano, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment has 15 ayes.
All right, thank you, my colleagues. That amendment passes. Now we're going to go to page 66, the Department of Agriculture. And in our chat, everybody else should be able to see it. Senator Clint Rajel has two amendments, page 66 and page 67. Senator Rajel, if you can please go ahead and read off your page 66, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So one moment, let me just make sure I have it. All right, so this amendment is to line 23, page 66, animal shelter continuing appropriation, to add a new sentence to read, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the unexpended balance of funds appropriated to AGR in fiscal years 2019 and 2020 for the operations of the animal shelter shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. So, Mr. Chair, this is just similar to prior amendments that we've been passing in this budget is, any lapses, just carrying them over if they've been unexpended and just ensuring that these agencies are able to expend these unexpended appropriations from prior years going back to 2019. So, and I think normally I'm not for appropriating lapses, but in this case, because both 2019 and 2020 are showing surpluses, I think it's a time that we can appropriate lapses because there's a surplus in 2019. That means that the adopted revenue levels were met. So that means any lapse in appropriations should be backed by actual cash. So that's why I voted in favor of the prior amendments that dealt with appropriating lapses. And that's why I'm proffering this amendment as well.
Right. Thank you, Senator Rajel. Is this also in support of GAIN? The problems they're having, would this be in relation to them?
Well, yes, it would allow for, so GAIN is hired by agriculture to operate the animal shelter. So this just gives the same appropriations that they've been using to hire GAIN to operate the animal shelter. It just allows them to, agriculture to be able to expend the rest of those appropriations from the prior years. And my understanding is there are some leftover unexpended appropriations from prior years. I believe back to 2019.
All right. Do we have any?
Joe?
Yes, Senator Pito.
Clint, are we considering the stipend for the officers because they're part of the post requirement to be certified?
Are you talking agriculture? You're talking about Department of Agriculture, Pito?
Yeah, I'm talking about the officers.
Yeah, the conservation officers.
Yeah, conservation officers because they're part of the post certification requirement.
Steve, is the Department of Agriculture, I'm just looking at our budget, the conservation officers, I know they're part of their group, but
I will
How many
verify that, sir. Just give me a moment. I will verify it.
okay.
For?
What
Hello.
was that, Madam Vice?
Well, Mr. Chair, we understand that there's also attrition going on with the conservation officer. And so officers, so I'm just as concerned, or I share the concerns. It's been a long
Yes.
day. I
It's a
share
long
the
day.
concerns of the oversight chair. Also to ensure that they are funded, but also that if the attrition took place or will take place after the budget is, after that August timeline that you put out, I think that we need to look for avenues to ensure that they are fully staffed, because then they would have extra vacancies.
Yes, as a matter of
And
fact,
then-
I remember hearing somebody from agriculture saying they're considering, they're up for retirement, and it was after the August, so they're fully funded, so, I mean, they're pretty safe. I haven't gotten any call. I normally get calls from conservation officers, hey, we need some help, and I didn't get calls this round. Surprised, but thank God. So,
Okay.
is there, okay, well, while Steve is looking up the stipend for the conservation officers, I think that they're on payroll there. Not
Joe, I'm
unless we're
talking
talking
about-
about,
Joe, I'm just talking about the reservists, not
the reservists.
regular officers.
Okay, well, okay. Now, Steve, in the budget of agriculture, maybe you can answer, is there an increase in some form or another in the Department of Agriculture where they could they would have the money to cover stipend if they recruited reservists? I would hope they.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yeah, for the current appropriation right now for operations under the general fund, it's 2.7 million. We appropriated 2.89 million. There's $191,000 increase just in that
Okay.
area. So I would safely say that the stipends is covered.
Right. Okay. I know.
Okay.
I know Senator Clint is happy to hear that.
Yeah, because I think they do have 5 reservists. Thank you, Clint.
Yes. All right.
Welcome, sir.
So do we have any objection to the amendment? If not, we'll take, I don't see a hand wave. We're gonna go to the, yes, Senator Paris, please.
No objection. I just want to follow up with questions regarding the conservation officers. So how many are funded right now? Because I know they need, they were thinking 20 would be sufficient, but what's on their roster? Would you know, Steve?
Senator Paris, I would have to go into the budget to look at that right now. We're only dealing with automatic totals. If you give me a while, I can go check to give you a count.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that all warm bodies are funded.
So it wasn't a question of, if they wanted to have more, it's a matter of what is warm body first. That was the first
Right.
priority.
Right, yeah. I know Senator Rajah has another amendment coming up, which may be able to address additional bodies, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to see what the status is on your end, if that's possible. Not at this moment, but maybe a later time. No need to hold up the discussion.
All right.
Hey,
Are there
Senator
any
Paris, can I go ahead and answer Senator Paris' question? Okay,
Yes,
on the
please.
staffing pattern that we got, they showed 11 positions as conservation officers, 1 vacant. We funded 10.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right. Now, are there any objection to the amendment of Senator Clint on the animal shelter? I don't see a hand wave. There being none, we take roll call. Joe, please, roll call for this amendment, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, on the amendment by Senator Rigel for line 23, page 66, Chairman San Agustin.
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rigel.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton.
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munoz-Barnes.
Again.
Speaker Munoz-Barnes, aye. Senator Lee.
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi.
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pino Talahi.
Pido,
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. Ungat, por favor.
Senator Pino Talahi, aye. Senator March Taitano.
Again.
Senator March Taitano, aye. Senator Castro.
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan.
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya.
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson.
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez.
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres.
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui.
Again.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Mr. Chair, you have 15 aye votes.
Thank you, my colleagues. That amendment of Senator Clinton Ruggiero on the animal shelter is hereby passed and it'll be engrossed into the budget bill. Now we have another amendment by Senator Clinton Ruggiero. Senator Clinton Ruggiero, please, if you could read off your amendment, and that's referring to page 67.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Similar amendment, continuing appropriation. So it's line 5, page 67, continuing appropriations for AGR. Add a new section 105 to read, notwithstanding any other provision of law, the allotted but unexpended balance of funds appropriated to the Department of Agriculture for fiscal years 2019 and 2020 shall not lapse and shall continue to be available until fully expended. Again, it's a similar continuing appropriation just to allow them to expend any unexpended appropriations from prior years 2019 and 2020.
All right, do we have any hands for discussion? I think this would answer the possible recruitment that Senator Perez was concerned about earlier. That would meet that if there's money there and the flexibility for them to increase their manpower. And I think that was a concern of Senator Vice Speaker. Yes, if there is.
I'm not 100% sure if there is or not. I'm more certain that there is from the animal shelter appropriation, but I'm not sure about agriculture overall. I just put it there in case that there's any unexpended appropriated funds.
Yeah, just in case. Yes, understood. And any objection to that? I don't see any hands waved. I would ask Joe Meskin to please do the roll call. Let's vote on this.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment by Senator Rigel to add a new section 1O, letter O, 5. Chairman San Agustin?
Aye.
Chairman San Agustin, aye. Vice Chair Rigel?
Aye.
Vice Chair Rigel, aye. Vice Chair Shelton?
Again.
Vice Chair Shelton, aye. Speaker Munya Barnes?
Again.
Speaker Munya Barnes, aye. Senator Lee?
Again.
Senator Lee, aye. Senator Teresa Lahi?
Again.
Senator Teresa Lahi, aye. Senator Pino Talahi?
Again.
Senator Pino Talahi, aye. Senator March Taitano?
Again.
Senator March Taitano, aye. Senator Castro?
Again.
Senator Castro, aye. Senator Moylan?
Aye.
Senator Moylan, aye. Senator Munya?
Again.
Senator Munya, aye. Vice Speaker Nelson?
Again.
Vice Speaker Nelson, aye. Senator Perez?
Again.
Senator Perez, aye. Senator Torres?
Again.
Senator Torres, aye. Senator Taitagui?
Again.
Senator Taitagui, aye. Mr. Chair, the amendment received 15 aye votes.
Thank you, my colleagues. That motion by Senator Clinton is hereby passed and will be engrossed into the budget bill. We'll now move to page 68. My colleagues, that's the Guam Public Library System. Who's got the public library? I think that would be, is that you, Senator Amanda Shelton, on the library, or is it the Vice Speaker? I know it's one of you for education on that one, if I'm correct. Unless
Yeah,
it's Senator Kelly. Senator Kelly, I'm sorry.
it's kind of complicated. It seems to be shared between me and the vice speaker, which I appreciate her very generous spirit in that. Yeah. So she may have some comments.
Okay, does either one of you have any comments? Senator Kelly and Senator, Madam Vice Speaker? None? I don't see any comments. So can we move on, Senator Kelly, because that's your oversight of the library. I know that the intent, they don't have a director, so it's the focus, I don't know how you want to work that. But they got their appropriation, all right? Okay, moving along, we're on page 69. If I'm correct, I heard, I got a text from Senator Munoz. Senator Munoz?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, yes, Madam Amanda?
Yes, as the chair, I'd like to be recognized first.
Okay, because Senator Munoz had an amendment, so.
Yes, I also have an amendment that I've sent in, but I'd like to request that the DYA director be present.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is she here? I mean, Joe is.
Let her know that we're almost up to her, so if the committee can please invite her in.
Okay. Okay, we can invite her in and she'll be coming in soon, but I'm just looking at the amendments as they were coming in and I see one from Senator Munoz. I'm looking if there was any other amendments that came in. You said you have an amendment, Senator Amanda Sheldon, just so I can see it where it's at.
Yes, I sent it in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't mind listening to the director of DYA. I also sent this in since we got to page 22.
Okay. Yes. Joe, is she coming on?
Sir, I'm trying to get a hold of her right now.
Okay, well, why don't we take a few minute recess? I'll be back. I gotta take care of something. Okay, a few minutes. Few minutes only while we're waiting for the call in. Thank you, my colleagues, for the short recess. We have, and to the people of Guam, we have the Director of Department of Youth Affairs here, Ms. Lonnie Brennan, and we have the Sergeant Arm that will swear in before we begin any testimony on the Department of Youth Affairs. Sergeant Arm, if you can please swear in Ms. Lonnie.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Lonnie Brennan, Director Lonnie Brennan, can I please have you raise your right hand? Okay, under penalties of perjury, do you affirm that any and all information that you provide, whether it be verbally, electronically, and in writing, be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, she is under oath.
Thank you, Sergeant Arms, and welcome, Ms. Brennan, Director. Let's see, Madam Senator Shelton, Oversight, you wanted to have Ms. Brennan probably talk about DYA.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I do have an amendment to offer, but I wanted to allow for Ms. Brennan to talk a little bit about DYA right now and some of the increased workload that they're experiencing and some of the difficulties, especially in light of the COVID-19 crisis. So if she could, before I offer my amendment, just give us a little bit of that kind of update and how this, obviously all of our departments are seeing a shortage in the budget than what was requested, but if she can just talk a little bit as to how this is going to affect them.
So half a day, senators, thank you so much for the opportunity. I know that our oversight chair did contact me earlier today, and I was made aware of certain amendments that might come through tonight. And I was very concerned because, number one, I know that the Healthy Futures Funds, which we have relied upon operationally for many years, there's a possible amendment that may reduce that, and I informed our oversight chair that it would in fact impact operations. As you know, our department has, and you know,
Sorry,
I liken it.
Lonnie, maybe if you can just talk about the general things, not about any amendments, because we aren't at that point yet. But if you can just speak to, you know, your budget request to the legislature and what is excuse me, now in the bill, and then and what you've shared with me about experiencing some increased workload in the department, and then we can get to that further down the line.
Okay, I'm sorry. So other than my presentation earlier, when I did come before you during the actual budget hearings, I did tell you that the Department of Affairs was left behind in terms of juvenile justice reform. And there were so many things that when I entered the department in the beginning of 2019 that I saw. And
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm having trouble hearing Lonnie. Lonnie, is your microphone covered or something? You're coming in kind of muffled and the volume is low. I apologize.
I'm sorry. You know, I am in quarantine and my cell reception is poor and my Wi-Fi connection too. I'm having difficulty. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better.
Yes, we
Thank
can.
you so much. I apologize.
Okay, so again, as I've said before, I feel like the Department of Youth Affairs, when I was appointed in January 2019, we fell behind the curve in terms of juvenile justice reform. And although we were the recipients of a lower population of youth that were detained in our facility, much of the training and the therapeutic interventions and the programmatic side was left unfulfilled just because most of our budget really was for salaries and personnel. And so what I did was I did engage with many nonprofit organizations to bring programming into our detention facility. But our larger mandate really is with the community. And so we had 3 community resource centers, and that's where we're supposed to provide prevention, opportunities for youth in the community to afford them with positive youth development opportunities. And so what I had asked was, and what we were moving towards was really improving youth outcomes and enhancing community safety by trying to implement some programming. And even at that, our budget just didn't offer that. And so we did have the opportunity, of course, to start a summer youth employment program. However, because of COVID, that just didn't materialize. And just for, in terms of everyone's safety, we could not push that through. But we did have a program in place, and we were ready to go with it. But unfortunately, we could not implement. Other than that, just in terms of workforce development and ensuring that my officers were able to understand adolescent youth behavior and understand our role in terms of juvenile justice reform. We just didn't have those opportunities because the budget just didn't allow for it. And it just basically allowed for status quo. So I guess why I'm here today to ask you is pretty much our budget that was set was really just mainly for operations. And obviously I understand the economy and understand that everyone has to take a cut. And so I beseech you just to make it proportionate.
Thanks so much, Lonnie. I appreciate that. And you shared a little bit about the summer employment and youth training program. And I want to thank the chair, Mr. Chair here, because last year we worked together to ensure that we could fund this program. And we had high hopes this summer to see maybe a couple hundred youth in our community have the opportunity to work in the government of Guam, to gain some skills, to be exposed to public service, especially our underserved youth in the community, those that are deemed high risk. We were working very closely together with the Department of Youth Affairs, the Committee on the Advancement of Youth, because we wanted to ensure it wasn't just kids who were already excelling in school that were going to take advantage of this program, but we wanted to make sure it was the underserved youth who were also able to avail of it. And unfortunately, we weren't able to see this through. And so I have a very simple amendment, Mr. Chair, that for this year in this budget, because you did include it again, a $570,000 appropriation to the Summer Employment and Youth Training Program. I've spoken with the director, and we feel that it's best at this time to eliminate this from the budget because of the uncertainty in next summer if we'll be able to employ these youth. But we have made a commitment to each other to work together to implement some kind of program, maybe at a smaller scale to start with, just realizing all of the cuts that we're taking across the government and working together to maybe employ a few of our young people in the government next summer. So I've made an amendment to strike that out. This does not do anything to the total appropriation to the Department of Youth Affairs because it was only for informational purposes that we carved out this amount in the budget. So we've taken that out, and then to provide DYA with a continuing appropriation from their FY 2020 unexpended balances, because as Lonnie said, we were not able to fully implement the summer youth program. So there are a few more dollars left over with DYA from the general fund appropriation from last year that can certainly go to the department's operations, can certainly go to increased training for these workers to better deal with juvenile offenders, to be able to counsel and rehabilitate these young people. So I'm asking for the support of my colleagues to allow this continuing appropriation, and for your understanding also to, it's not that we want to cut out this youth training program, but we understand that the needs of the department right now are greater than we can afford. So colleagues, I ask for your support for this amendment.
Okay, I just have a few questions. Senator Torres first, please, and then Senator Muñoz.
Just want to ask Senator Shelton, the money though stays with DYA, right? It's just for other needs other than specific to the summer youth
Yes,
training.
that's correct, Senator Torres. I've written in the amendment that the lapses, the unexpended balance would be able to go to support the operations of the department.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, as Senator Munoz, there you go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Lonnie, for our director for being here. I really appreciate that. And please give my best to Willie and make sure that let him know that we're all praying for him and his recovery as well too.
So I'm sorry, I really can't hear you folks. I'm having trouble with my audio.
Oh, can you hear me now? Director?
I can hear very vaguely. I'm sorry. It's not a really good connection. Let me try and move around the house. Sorry.
Lonnie, we've also had some success in trying to turn off your video and just use the audio.
Yeah, let me try and do that. Okay.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us now, Lonnie?
Actually, I think I can hear you a little bit better.
All right, Senator Munoz.
Hi, Director. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I'll try to speak a little bit louder. If you'd like, I could turn up my system and put on my microphone if you like.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I was just really going to set up my equipment. No. So I just want to thank you again. I wanted to just thank you for being here this evening, and please give our best to Willie and make sure that let him know that we're praying for his speedy recovery.
Thank you.
So I have a question. Well, I guess maybe before I ask the director the question, I could ask the chair of DYA, how long has DYA been using the Healthy Futures Fund money for this youth job program?
The department has never used the Healthy Futures Fund for the youth summer employment and youth training program. Last year was the first time in over a decade that we were able to appropriate money for the summer employment and youth training program. And that's again why I was so thankful to the chair for doing that. But the money was appropriated from the general fund, not the Healthy Futures Fund. And prior to that decate before, I can't speak to that, but last year was the first time it was appropriated since many years. And I can't tell you if the Healthy Futures Fund was ever used before that, but last year it came from the general fund.
Okay, I guess that you answered my next question, because my next question was whether what fund was being used to fund this jobs program at DYA?
Again, I can't speak to what was happening a decade ago. I don't know if
nor can I. I do know that it was in coordination with the Department of Labor. And I think the Department of Youth Affairs actually had some federal funding at that time for summer youth employment.
Okay, and did that federal funding cease, and that's why we needed to search for other ways to continue this program?
I'm pretty sure that the federal funding ran out, or they did not continue it.
Okay, which means there probably still is another opportunity for that to happen, yes?
We have actually been trying to apply for other grants and have been unsuccessful.
Okay, so the use of Healthy Futures funds then is just basically as new as last year then, and because this year of COVID, it actually never was implemented.
No, that's incorrect. Healthy Futures Fund had been in use for DYA prior to my arrival in 2019.
Yes, just to be clear, the Healthy Futures Fund was used for other expenses within the department before last year. Again, the summer employment and youth training program was funded by the general fund and not by the Healthy Futures Fund. But the Department of Youth Affairs has received appropriations from the Healthy Futures Fund, I think, for more than several years.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted, so the way I'm understanding it, and if you can just help me, and forgive me again, Director Lonnie, I don't mean to put you in between this, but you know, I knew that this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be me pegging from one to another and trying to make it seem like one is more important than the other. And I don't want to go through this again. I'm not going to say that the youth program is not as important as helping our cancer patients. But when they asked us to look for things that where we can actually deappropriate and appropriate to areas where we see this underfunded, I saw that this youth program did not happen this year because of COVID. And because it didn't happen, I was hoping that I could grab that money and put it right back in to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund, where by law, it should be.
So I think that the confusion is that you had believed that the Summer Youth Employment Program was supposed to be funded under the Healthy Futures Fund, which it was not. The Healthy Futures Fund actually helps with our operations in the 3 community youth resource centers in Dededo, Jigo, and Agate, and it funds the community program aides that work with kids in terms of mentoring, after-school programming, cultural classes, all the community resource activities and the positive youth development activities that are already in place, such as the Junior Police Cadet Program and other programs in the community. And those are not for our kids in detention, but they're for the kids that are in those communities.
Okay, so I see in Public Law 35-36, and this was last year's appropriation. It shows here that the Summer Employment and Youth Training Program pursuant to subsection 21103 of Chapter 21, Title 19 GCA, the sum of $600,000 is hereby appropriated from the general fund to DYA to carry out the Summer Youth Employment Program in 19 GCA Chapter 21. I just want to know, is that correct?
The funding was for the Summer Youth Employment Program did come out of the general fund.
Okay, so then the last year's appropriation of the Healthy Futures Fund of $682,502 went directly to your operations, and then you took that money, the $600,000, and appropriated or used it towards the Summer Employment and Youth Training Program?
No, that's incorrect. They're 2 separate funding sources.
So in the if you could just help me understand, then there was no Healthy Futures Fund money given to DYA. In the original bill 186 last year, there was no Healthy Futures Fund money given to DYA. It appeared that for the first time in that sub bill. I'm just wondering, how were you funding it before again, you said?
Through the Healthy Futures Fund. We did receive money in the past from the Healthy Futures Fund. It wasn't just in FY 2020.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may, I do have some additional information. I know that Senator Munoz was asking that earlier. So the first time that the Healthy Futures Fund was appropriated to the Department of Youth Affairs was in FY 2018. And this was for the purpose of the Community Social Development Resource Centers, which Lonnie is talking about. So that appropriation has continued for these resources and for their operations, resource centers and their operations. So again, the Healthy Futures Fund was never used to fund the Summer Youth Employment Program in FY 2020. It came out of the general fund, and those monies were not expended this year because we were unable to start the program because of the coronavirus crisis. So that money remains in their general fund pot, and that's why I'm asking to have this continuing appropriation so that they can use that money toward their operations in this coming fiscal year.
So, okay, so you can see, you know, I understand it. I understand it, Senator Shelton. I understand why you want to protect every dollar that you have in all of your committees. And I'm trying to figure out where I can and look for programs that didn't happen because of COVID. And figure out how to transfer it back to the Healthy Futures Fund. So by law, we can at least fulfill some of our obligation to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund.
I completely understand, Senator
yeah.
Munja. I understand the frustration. I too want to see every penny that we can give to the Healthy Future, from the Healthy Futures Fund to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. Unfortunately, we did not use the Healthy Futures Fund to fund this program, and we've used the Healthy Futures Fund to fund the operations and these resource centers for our youth. And as you know, the Healthy Futures Fund is meant to fund programs like this for our young people. And DYA's mandate and mission is to help rehabilitate many of these youth who are going down the wrong path, who are exposed to drugs and alcohol. And so I know I don't want to pit us against each other either for Guam Cancer Trust Fund or for the Department of Youth Affairs, but unfortunately the Healthy Futures Fund was not used in this case.
So we're looking at, based on last year's unexpended funds of FY 2020, we're looking at about 682,000 maybe from the Healthy Futures Fund. And then this year, another 682,000. So it's about maybe 1.3 million, maybe.
I don't think that's the correct.
But here's what I'm saying. Your amendment is going to carry over this amount over to their current now, and what this bill is giving them that amount again, which is 1.3 million. That is 1.3 million compared to the 1 million that is being given to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund now this year.
No,
all right. I stand by Senator Amanda and Senator Muñoz, please.
Mr. Chair,
Steve?
can we speak on the amendment?
Yes, but I just wanted to get some information in reference to the amendment. Steve, where are you at, Steve? I'm looking for Steve here.
I'm here, sir.
Steve. Okay, Steve, can you tell us exactly how much is left over from the Healthy Future funds at the Department of Youth Affairs that was appropriated last year, and that could be carry over, because Senator Amanda Shelton is to carry over unexpended. I'm just curious to know, Healthy Future funds, how much is left of that from last year, from 2020?
Sir, based on the AS 400 run tonight, on the Healthy Future Fund of an appropriation to DYA of $682,502, there is a current available balance of $83,413. There is also an unallotted balance of $52,548.
What do you mean by unallotted? I'm trying to understand.
In other words, the available balance is pegged on monies that have been allotted. Unallotted is money that you can say is held in abeyance. It's not being released.
Okay.
Is that the 15% reserve?
I don't know. I can't tell whether or not it's 50%. The only thing I know is that when they apply the 15%, it's across the board, bottom line total. They may take more from one fund than the other, but I'm not too sure the 50% is done across the board anymore.
Well, I'm just concerned because I do have 12 staff assigned to the Healthy Futures Fund that actually operate in the Community Resource Center. So if you touch that, then essentially I'm going to have to figure out a way to keep them employed.
Okay, I don't think I wasn't, Lonnie, stand by. I only wanted to know what was left over from last year. Because the amendment
okay.
is to transfer, okay? So we'll call on you, Lonnie, please be patient. I just want to know
Mr.
from
Chairman,
Steve.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, just to clarify, when we use the term last year, we're talking about fiscal year 2020.
That's correct,
Current year.
2020.
Thank you.
Current year.
Yes.
Okay, so we're only saying there's 82,000 left. Is that what you're saying?
$83,413 available balance.
Okay, and that's what the amendment is reading. Well, how much are we anticipating that by the end of the year would be on the AS funded from DYA that could be rolled over?
Approximately $135,000 if everything holds true.
On the whole DYA.
Oh, the whole entire department?
Right, yes.
Sir, I cannot tell you that at this moment because we have 2 more months, actually the whole month of August and September to go. So of course that's going to reduce the available balance that we see today. So I don't know exactly what the amount will be at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that our colleagues understand what the possible amount that might be rolled over. Okay, Senator Muña, I know where you were coming from on the Guam cancer, and
I can wrap up, Senator.
All right,
Mr. Chair. So, okay, I'll talk on the amendment. There is nothing in me that does not want to give this money to the DYA troubled youth. There's nothing in me. I work with the youth day in and day out. I want to give it to them. But I need to remind every single one of us that our job is to follow the law first and then give it to whoever we want to give it to. And I would give it to the kids first after that. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm against Senator Shelton or I'm against, the director, because I fully support you guys for everything, every single cell in my body. I do. Now, I'm not going to say, well, maybe OFB should have just given us that money first and then let you all fight for it. Maybe that should have been the case in the beginning, because I would have just left you all alone. Go ahead, do whatever you want with the Healthy Futures Fund. So long as you give it to where the Healthy Futures Fund was supposed to be set aside for. 15% of those are supposed to go to the Guam Cancer Trust Fund. So yeah, I'm going to fight everybody who has that HFF in their budget, because I'm going to try to figure out how to make Guam Cancer Trust Fund whole. Then you could do whatever you want with it. We could give it all to DYA for that matter. We could give it all to Guam the public health. We could give it all to GMH. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs it. Except for the people who it was meant to go for in the first place, which is the cancer patients. I'm not going to say that the youth are not important, because they are important. They are our future. The song says it. I believe the children are our future. They are. We need to take care of them. But they will survive with what they have now. These cancer patients are going to die. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Muña. I saw a hand wave. Was that Madam Vice Speaker? In reference to the amendment, unless you have something else also in addition.
No, this is in reference to the amendment, Mr. Chair. Just to be correct, the amendment is on page 69, line 20. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then there's I'm at a loss for words. What is this amendment doing? It's going to delete $570,339 that should have went to the summer youth employment programs, but because we didn't have summer, we're crossing this amendment out.
For 2021, I'm trying to understand that also.
So are we saying that for 2021, which is next year, August through, or maybe when does the summer youth program start?
Usually
June through
around
August?
Yes. So
Okay, so
I can
June through
explain
August.
the amendment again.
Okay. Well, can I just ask my question because I didn't understand your explanation? Thank you.
Yeah, please, Madam Vice.
Okay.
Continue on with your
So-
discussion on the amendment.
Yes, and so we're anticipating that because of a previous year, the summer youth employment programs was funded through something else. And then correct me if I'm wrong. And so where's this 570,339 going to go if it doesn't go to the summer youth employment program?
She has a follow-up amendment to that.
Right, but the amendment doesn't place the 570,000 anywhere. The next amendment on page 69, line 25.
Our next amendment would identify that, ma'am.
Oh, no, Mr. Chair, I'd
No,
like
it
to.
doesn't? Oh, okay, I apologize. That's how I was reading it. Okay.
So I'm hearing the director saying they need money for operations. Is this going to go back into DYA for operations? The 500 and
So if I can
570,000?
how the summer employment and youth training program was listed in the budget. This was not listed as another amount and then added to the total. This was just carved out of their total operations budget from the general fund. So if you look at the page, it says for information purposes only, and it's stated there so that we can explicitly say we're going to use this $570,000 for the youth summer job program, but it crossing it out, it'll just go back to the operations for the department. And as I mentioned earlier, I've spoken to the director about this, and we will try to work together to begin the summer employment and youth training program at a smaller scale and see what we can do with the department if there's anything at all left over from the operational use.
From the 570,000?
Yes, that's right. So it's if you look at the top number, the $4,633,000 from the general fund at the top of the DYA page, that $570,000 is already included there, and it's just been listed down here. It wasn't an addition.
Senator Shelton, can I just say something real quick? On line 13 on page 69, where it says for information purposes only, that is only in reference to the federal match grants and aid. Okay. Yeah, but the item number 2 and number 3, number 2 is an outright appropriation, and it's not part of the 4.6. Item number 3, the 570,339 is again an outright appropriation, and it's not part of the 4.6 million on the top.
Yeah, so that's why I'm wondering how the amendments would line up with
Steve, can you just
the
clarify
appropriation?
that?
Yes, okay, again, one more time.
Because it doesn't change the total that we have on line 12.
That's correct, because that's correct, because when we did the presentation here,
it's on
if you
top
look at
of
the
it.
total summary, if you look at the summary, and this is how it is throughout the budget, not just for DYA. So on line 9 is the summary of appropriation funding source. The general fund is 4.633056. The Healthy Future Fund is 682,502 for a total of 5.315558 million. Then it says on line 13 for informational purpose, federal match. There's no federal match, so that's why it's just there. Then section 2 is youth programs appropriation. This $200,000 is not part of the 5.3. Okay. Then the section 3, the summer employment and youth training program. that 570,339 again is not part of the 5.3. They're separate appropriations.
Right.
So if you look at the paragraphs, they read out on number 2, youth program appropriations period. The sum of $200,000 is appropriated from the general fund to DYA for fiscal year 2021 to fund programs contracted out to non-government organizations for services to youth who are runaway homeless and victims of abuse. Then you go to 3. Again, it says, summer employment youth training program pursuant to chapter so-and-so, the sum of 570,339 is hereby appropriated from the general funds. So, Senator, they are separate appropriations. I just wanted to make that clear. And the format is the format is the same for all the departments in the budget.
So, Steve, if
you see the word allocated, then you are correct. It is part of the total. But if you see the word appropriated, it is an outright appropriation. It is not part of the total.
So, Steve, I have a simple question for you on the summer employment.
I'm looking for one simple question tonight, sir.
Okay, I'm trying to keep it simple, but only because you identified it's an appropriation from the general fund.
Yes.
And because it doesn't impact at all DYA at all. It's not, and because they don't have a federal grant, then it's not something that the money would be available, because if there's no grant, then there's nothing to match, correct?
No, the money is not intended for match. The money is intended to fund the program. If there is federal dollars to match, great, the more power. But it's not intended as a federal match. It's intended as an outright appropriation to the agency for the program.
Okay, understood then.
So Steve, if we were to calculate the numbers, if we would, for DYA, would it be the 5,315,558 on top of the 200,000 and 570,339?
That's correct.
Okay.
So they would have
and so
if you wanted to know the total general fund, you would. Yeah, okay. If you wanted to add the total general fund, you would add all 3 appropriations with the exception of the 682,502.
Other than.
I hope that clarifies things.
So where's the money gonna go if we delete that?
I will leave that up to Senator Shelton to go back.
Okay.
Senator Shelton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to correct my amendment. I wrote this based on an earlier conversation I had with OFB, so I think I had a miscommunication with them. But yes, the money from the $570,000 for the summer employment and youth training program, I'd like to add that back to the general fund number on line 6. So to add it to the $4,633,000, and I'll correct my amendment now and send it back.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, please. Is that on the amendment?
No, sir, I apologize. It's, I know that amendment needs to be adjusted. So this might probably be a really good time. We're 8 minutes away from the time clock.
Yes.
So if this would be.
It's been a long day.
Yes, sir. But I'm hoping to see a clean copy of the amended so we can make sure that we got our numbers in order, and thank the secretary for making that adjustment.
Okay, and yeah, we're now 7 minutes away, and we're gonna recess at 10 and start back up at 9. Hopefully, Senator Amanda, if we can be assured that everyone will get a copy, because I don't know how quick that we're gonna get that amendment.
Yeah, sure. I'll work on it now and send it back to everybody.
All right, please, and folks, tomorrow, well, we'll wrap this one up. Lonnie, Steve well, get well, and tell Willie to take care and
Thank you
get him
so
back
much.
on his feet.
I only ask that you folks just, whatever reductions that have to occur because of the situation, that they be proportionate, that they just not, like even tonight, you folks were not understanding that there were two separate appropriations, and that with both of the appropriations, I have already assigned actual warm bodies to those programs. And so it would really hit us hard. And so I just ask that if you're going to take away, that it be proportionate.
Yeah, we're gonna call you back up, Lonnie, tomorrow morning. Okay, if you're well and you can meet.
I am well, sir. Thank you. I am well.
Okay, and if you can come back on at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we would appreciate it. And we'll just continue on with DYA.
I appreciate that. You guys have a good night and stay safe.
All right, folks.
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question, Steve. The where it says Healthy Futures Fund of 689,502, what is that being used for? What is the Healthy Futures Fund being used for?
We appropriated to the agency for operations. It is a lump sum budget. I would not be able to tell you in detail exactly what that money is for.
Okay.
It is part of their operational totals.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, folks, my colleagues and to the people of Guam, we will recess until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Please sign up, my colleagues, to the same Zoom link. All right. Thank you. Thank you, my colleagues. Rest well. You at 9 o'clock. Thank you to the people of Guam.